cloud. Hi everyone, this is K8s Infra meetings. Welcome to everyone in the call. Just a quick reminder that this meeting is under the code of conduct, so I invite everyone to nicely behave, and this recording will be published on YouTube later. Before we start, do we have a note taker? Thank you, EP, again. I can't say enough thank you to you, EP. Before we start, do we have new people in this call? Yes, no. Okay, so we can do billing report in that case. We are in the middle of the month, so I will do a partial billing review. So the one thing I want to basically talk about is basically positive impact of the change introduced in the SIG scalability jobs. So I think that's the graph talk by for itself. Like I think we reduce the cost by 75%. Ben will give a more accurate estimate of those cost savings. I put the issue link where all the action have been made. So feel free to check and see what's happening. So on the scalability jobs, we have cost reduction, and on the 5K node job, we also get cost reduction. So that should help reduce the monthly cost by a lot. Ben, do you want to add something else, or?
I mean, we still possibly could do more here, but I think we've done a lot. And I think efforts are kind of focused on the registry at the moment. We will also have still have the drop from the BigQuery spend is very recent. It was just beginning to be a thing at the last meeting, and we should see it better reflected now. This would probably be a good time to reproject the year-end estimates.
I have some data.
I think I saw you, Ben, give estimate last week. Is that correct? Yeah, so Slack about this.
Yes, but at that point we hadn't had a full week of the scale yet. We should have slightly better data now.
Okay. Let me see if I can basically. Okay, so
sorry, also I don't mean right now in the call. I mean we're now at a point where we can re-estimate. We can do that async.
Okay. Anyone has a question for the GCP part? Okay. On the AWS side, let me make that trade. We have cost growing because basically we redirect traffic by default to S3, and we also now have a few AKS cluster running there. So we are cost growing. We are cost growing, and I think that's a good thing. I'm not sure if there's like something specific we want to talk about for AWS, unless James has question maybe.
Yeah, I wanted to update everyone here. Yesterday, I took one deep dive with Hippie's help, looking at all the things that we have moved there under the root organization that we created. We made sure that at least or no, you and I should have access to the list of accounts and things like that. And there was some discrepancy I was seeing in on the AWS systems. I'm trying to still track it down. I think somehow we are related to like a Falco security, the Salesforce thing on our systems, and not the Linux Foundation one. So I'm trying to figure that fix that on our side. That's why I started looking into this and making sure that all the things that we see are correct, and cross-checked all the emails, all the accounts that we started, that we created and moved over and attached and things like that. So there's a basic sanity check. Hippie, anything else to call out that I forgot to tell in this?
Just making sure that you guys both have access, the full AWS admin access to all API calls and console things.
Right.
Yeah, I looked at the Falco thing. It also, in I think the internal Salesforce also has my home address.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like, who is this and where is this coming from? And I live there.
It's my house. I know exactly where that is. It's just a mailbox in Austin, but I did recognize the address, so fair enough.
Yeah, that was something. I went to Google Maps and zoomed around trying to look, what is this building and who lives there?
Oh, there's Hippie there.
Technically Hippie's mailbox. So
In a mailbox, it's a cool company. They it's primarily deaf people that work there, and so they have all the mail come in and they scan it all and they put it in the mailboxes, and their only interactions are digital and via SMS text messages. So it's a great business to support.
Nice. Yeah. So thanks a lot. That's all I had.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyone has a question about billing at this point? Good. So we can do some AI review quickly. So I think the first item is like next Monday, there's an announcement made that it.dshare.io will be redirected to the new registry starting Monday, March 20th. I don't know if we are ready. I think we are ready.
I wanted to check Justin's health status. How are you feeling, Justin?
We will. I think our priority is to make sure that we don't roll it back, right? And so we are going to do things, but I think we're trying to pre-flight every possible objection. And so right now we are like hearing all the objections, but that is deliberate. And I want to give a big shout out to Ben if he's here, and Fede and other people who might not be here, but oh, there's Jago who's also here, who are like dealing with all these objections and finding all these objections and digging up objections where we didn't even know there would be objections. So they can probably,
Also Bob.
And Bob, thank you. Sorry, so just, wow, lots of people here. Yes, so we are currently going through all those objections. So it feels like a onslaught, but yes, we are on track, I think. I don't know if anyone else disagrees.
Yeah, if it weren't for the Docker Hub announcement, the only thing I would be working on right now is this. Unfortunately, we have 2 registry changes to sort out. So,
so other than tom-tomming this to everybody that we can think of, anything else we can do to help you all next week?
I'm just gonna say the obvious. Let's be really careful touching anything for a little bit on the external side so we can avoid additional reasons.
Right. So one thing, Ben, I think I've seen you like paste different things in different places, like tips around like, hey, use dig for this and use So can we like collect them for next week so we can give it to people and say, hey, yeah, you are in New Zealand, go run this stuff from where you are. That kind of, can we do some sort of that, which will help people self-diagnose things?
What Bob just said was my suggestion. We should probably create a template issue.
Right.
Yeah, I would appreciate help with that as well. A lot of this is going to be fairly straightforward, like network debugging stuff, making sure that they can reach the registry and so on. The biggest thing that I would add is if we can get them to use a tool like crane -- verbose, then we can actually see each request and find it. Whereas if we tell them to debug something like the Docker logs, usually the default logging doesn't have enough info.
Right.
Other than that, though, the rest should be, pretty standard stuff. I can try to help review that, or I'll try to write that soon. I've been a little focused on the Google side and some like sort of hardening out of this. Just last night we shipped enforcing code coverage for the registry code, a couple things like that. Just make sure that we're maintaining a really high bar.
Sounds good. Thank you.
We also have some last minute fun. I saw someone, Adolfo is here. The image promoter is struggling with the registry quotas, and that's something that we had rolled out pretty recently ahead of any big redirect to try to get ahead of any users hitting that. We still have some more follow-up to do there. So
Yeah,
if anybody wants to pitch in there.
I actually wanted to understand a little bit better the quotas. Like it's the quotas when talking to the registry endpoints, like to the API and so on.
Yes. This is a GCP quota that applies to the registry API for read requests.
Okay,
We didn't set write requests because we're the only ones with permission to write requests anyhow.
Okay, and this is to protect it from what specifically?
Excessive API usage leading to denial of service.
But just from the outside or something internal?
Yeah. So I triggered this on accident in a region, working on some other tooling. There's a like quota allotted to your project for artifact registry reads. GCR has an out-of-the-box non-configurable quota that it applies per user per IP address to make sure that no one user uses too much. Artifact registry doesn't have one by default and gives you control over the per user quota. So we set a per user quota last week to make sure that we have one in place so that no one user could like exceed the quota for a region.
Okay. So the idea is that when we do something like image promotion, we don't kill the project or a region.
Right. It will at least the capacity that we have to work with is per region, and we can also have it increased if we have a lot of usage, and we have had that done. But yeah, so if like a tool is really excessively hammering the API in a region, then you could wind up preventing anyone from reaching that region. We have other mitigations, like we could update the registry to route around that region if there were like a persistent attack or, GCP support, like blocking spam or whatever. But when we are ourselves authenticated, hitting the API and using too much, we could also do that. So now we can't do that because no one IP or user can rip through the quota. We started with a quota that's as analogous to GCR as we can. GCR was 50,000 per 10 minutes. We set 5,000 per 1 minute because we only have, that's the granularity that we have. We can adjust that, but we would actually like to see it go down. It's like the GCR quota is a fairly high, very generous quota because it's not user tunable.
Okay, yeah. So so I get it. Why? Now the next thing I need to understand is, well, the next one was if it was going to be increased somehow, because it shouldn't be I think it feels slower than GCR because we didn't hit
It-
this before.
Well, we actually were hitting. We actually have had we've had the tool rip through the AR quota before when there wasn't a per user quota, and we've also I think the main difference is just GCR will give you since it's a longer time window, you could have more burst.
Okay, maybe. That's it.
But the promoter still runs over the course of like of hours, so it should be pretty similar. I think we can work more on mitigating the API usage. If we get really stuck, then we can increase it again. But it's something that we want to be a little bit hesitant to do because we're trying to set a baseline for, as we bring in all these new users and they start getting used to using this, we don't want to let anybody else develop a dependency on super excessive usage.
Yeah. So the thing is, especially when we set up the new mirrors, we worked really hard to ensure that it does its thing in parallel. So because we were hitting, like, we had the promoter running at some point for 8 hours per release or something like that, and we had to have shifts of people looking after it, and we worked to parallelize it more so that we could do more operations at the same time. So I guess the only thing that we need to understand is the boundaries that we need to do, and maybe once we can fit the parallel processes into that, maybe go back and understanding what's happening and where it's causing those bursts.
I'm sorry about that. Arnaud and I tried to ping everyone involved last week with a heads up, and we have been monitoring the jobs, and there wasn't any breakage. Actually, we broke ourselves the sync to S3, but we improved the tool to use much less API calls.
Yeah, I saw it, but it's kind of hard to estimate because it's the regular image promotion for the rest of the projects is like completely different than when we do a Kubernetes release, because that's a lot more images, more architectures, and so on.
Yeah. I think I have some follow-ups on the thread about other mitigations we can make, but if those don't pan out in short order and we're still blocked, then leads I know Arnaud at least has access to increase the quota as another temporary measure.
Yeah, I mean, we have now measures because last month we got rate limited by 6 hours, so we ended up in a similar situation. So we now have some tools to work around it, and so we should be able to carry on with the releases, but we still need to look into it.
Yeah, I also shared some things that I found from working on the tool to copy to S3, where there's some room to take heavy advantage of the list calls that GCR provides and avoid a lot of API calls.
Yeah, so the promoter code is like basically divided into two, like the thing that we want to rewrite and the things that are more recent. So we need to do some work there. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, when we are at this topic, let me ask one question. I saw that Ben mentioned it in the thread somewhere in release management. Are we confident to, let's say, reduce the number of runs of periodic that's running K-promo to like once or twice a day? Because this is massively slowing down the image promotion process, because that periodic can take like more than an hour, and we made it in a way that only periodic and post summit can run, only one of them can run at the same time. So when we are doing 3 or 4 releases, that they can take for hours. And I don't think that this periodic is like providing some value at this point. So like having it once or twice a day will probably be enough. So I would propose that as a PR. I wanted to see if we have any objections to that, maybe.
I don't think there's a specific objection to reduce the interval of this job. I mean, we have promotion post merge in case.io repo, so I think it's fine to basically get that periodic running twice a day.
Uh,
We just need to communicate to the community that we're gonna do that, and there are some level of expectation that's need to be made. Like, you're not getting right away if the promotion is failing.
Yeah, so that's my understanding basically, that this periodic is mostly useful if post submit fails. Then we run periodic and it eventually promotes the images that failed to promote initially. But I think this is happening very rare. And regarding the Kubernetes releases, we are very closely monitoring that stuff. So we know also we have some checks in CREL before continuing the release after promotion. I think they're just getting some message to the community. Please, we will reduce the number of periodic runs. If you're promoting something, keep an eye on job to make sure that post submit is green. Eventually, it will get that thing. It will get periodic might promoted, but it is better to keep eye on post submitted report if something is wrong. Ben, you might want to go next.
Yeah, I commented about this in the thread, and I think that what we should do is set a cron that runs when we're unlikely to be publishing releases as a backstop. We can run it at like midnight Pacific or something like that. That's well off from release schedule. The other mitigation we can do is, as far as expectations, I think we should update the tool to have some back off and retry so that the post submit doesn't fail. It just takes a little longer. And then if it still fails, we have a team that has access to rerun it, or eventually, once a day or whatever, the backstop will do a full resync. I think avoiding doing full resyncs during hours where people are otherwise promoting things will help a lot and should be reasonable.
Adolfo, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, the other thing that I was going to say is that I want to make the promoter a little bit smarter, in the sense that we can periodically check all of the images to ensure that they are properly mirrored. But at some point, I would prefer to have it understand the last images that were published and only check those. We did that for the signatures, and I think it works reasonably well. So we could, if we need to have it run more frequently, we could just check out the latest ones.
Can we have this conversation again in SIG release meeting?
Yeah.
Because I feel like we'll like the right people to make the ultimate decision. So we should carry everything that's been said here into SIG release meeting and have a final decision there.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. I will create a PR. In meanwhile, we can also have some discussion there and then come up with a final decision on SIG release meeting next week.
Okay. Anyone else has a question regarding this? Okay, next item is the phrase of case.gci.io in 2 weeks from now. 3 weeks from now, I think we are in track for this. Mohammed, you want to say something?
Not really. We're on track. There's a number of PRs open that need to be merged. So I think we'll see some traction after the batch releases are cut. I think we'll roll out 3.5 for the promoter, for the image promoter then, along with all the PRs that I've opened, and we'll see where we are at the end of the week.
Okay. Anyone has a question about phrase?
Yeah, I have one.
Yep.
So, well, just a comment, Mohammed. I'm trying to keep track on the ones that need like the thumbs up from us, from SIG Release. So if I miss one, because I'm handling kind of a lot of at the moment, just make sure to ping me.
Okay, I will.
Cool.
Like the main one is like merging that PR that actually rolls out 3.5 for K-Promo. I believe we're just waiting for the patch release to be done.
Yeah, and we needed to cut the latest release of K-Promo, which Carlos, I think, did this morning.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Okay, in that case, we're good about this.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So next, pro migration. I don't want it to call migration, but pro integration with AWS. So we have a build cluster, an EKS build cluster plugged to proud.case.io, and there's 2 canary jobs added running there. That's the latest update. I think we are ready to add more jobs there and see what's happening.
Actually, not really, because unit tests are failing constantly. There are 4 jobs that are failing for some reason. That's not happening on the main Prow instance. I think it should be the right link, by the way. Yeah, this is it. As you can see, all the unit tests are red, and there are always the 4 same cases that are failing. The very good thing is that kind tests are working. So Docker in Docker and stuff like that is working. So that is a really good progress. Regarding the state of the cluster, we still have to deal with AWS limits. I'm working on AWS with that. I was off for last 2 days, so I am slowly picking up everything that I need to. And we also have some issues with storage, but I am working on fixing that as well. So let's hope that we will be able to run some more jobs soon. But first, I will try to get those unit tests green, and then we can eventually see about other jobs.
Okay, if you have any issue, ping Teams or ping Teams, and Teams will redirect to anyone in the EKS team. I'm guessing.
Okay.
Yeah, I can help. Let's see what kind of stuff we run into.
Okay, anyone else has a question?
There's a couple of things we're also trying to clean up. One of them was external secrets operator. That one was a little bit of a fun one to sort out, but I think we're almost there. What else was there? I think Kyverno was the other piece, so that we can pull the images from ECR instead of going to Google Cloud all the time. Somebody was supposed to get me something that works. Somebody was supposed to propose a PR that creates Kyverno and the cluster policy. Other than that, I think Marco, we can sort that out while Marco's fixing some of the unit tests.
Okay, I think, yeah, about Prow, I think we can have more async conversation, especially with SIG testing falls, about how we can make progress about this. So I think we are good and on track.
Yeah, regarding these tests, I'm discussing with Marco. I think it's just a minor performance issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Marco, feel free to change instant type if the one you are picking right now is not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, the key problem that we have, as there is a comment on the issue for that cluster, is that those MEIs that we are using might not support using SSD-backed nodes. So we are using EBS storage, and that is maybe not good enough. I think that I can work around that manually, but I need some time for that. And me and Patrick will be looking into that tomorrow. So let's hope that we will be able to get something working, at least some manual workaround, until we don't get some official support in that Ubuntu AMI that we are using.
Okay, the one thing I'm gonna ask is to keep EKS folks in the loop, because they might help you to unblock the things. So
Okay,
keep them in the loop.
we will do.
Okay. Anything else before we jump in the open discussions?
Dims, isn't that kind of a big announcement that I don't think has come to this meeting?
Which one?
That we have some folks from Amazon to help now.
Hi.
Okay, so Terry is here. Terry is going to help us with some of the stuff. Steven, I don't see him here. Steven Zhang is going to help as well. Partial time when they get a chance to do stuff. So definitely we want to, help increase things like the CI jobs for sure. Move CI jobs into the AWS infrastructure, because that's the next upcoming work, right? And Terry has already done some PRs, and Steven, I kind of paired him off with something that Mohammed is doing. So hoping to see more work and more people from AWS coming here. Folks like Chris Short and other, Justin Garrison and other developer advocates will come and go when they are able to. So hoping that we can keep them interested and coming back here for all the things that we need to do. You might have seen Justin's videos popping up now. He's recording some shots on YouTube Shorts, and just arty things when you see it. Thank you. Terry, did you want to say something?
Nothing in particular, just hello, everyone. I guess hopefully Marco maybe could get with you at some point and talk about where you might need some help in particular.
And Terry, your background working on some other open source stuff can help us with the registry things here, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm a maintainer on the ORS project, and yeah, I have, I've worked on OpenStack years ago as well. So.
Okay. Thanks, Terry.
Thanks for the update, James. Anything else we need to announce? Okay, open discussion then. Mario, you are next.
Yeah, so this is just a friendly reminder that people might get the chance. I mean, the next 2 weeks will probably be a little bit stressful, but if you can squeeze in the time and have a look over the requirements doc that Dims created, and some of the folks already filled with comments. If any topic that still comes up that is missing there, please take a look and add your comments so that we can in parallel proceed on this topic as well. That's all basically.
Yeah, Mario, one other, when we were brainstorming this issue internally in AWS also, there were a few teams that have been using some tools like Tecton and Kit and other things put together for, I think some of it was running scalability jobs, some of it for ad hoc testing with testing Kubernetes from source. So I might ask them to give us a demo, talk us through what they have. It may or may not be useful right away, but certainly something that they want to show us, and maybe even show to like SIG scalability as well. So I'll try to get their time and ask them to come to this meeting and maybe give us a quick run through for like 10 minutes or so.
This would be good. This would be really great.
Thank you. Yes, Ben. I know.
Okay. Yeah. No. Mohammed, you next.
Okay, so that issue is about running kubelet node E2E tests on AWS. It's also partly related to the issue that Mario was talking about earlier. From my understanding, is we have a lot of tests, particularly kubelet tests, that just spin up a single server, do some stuff, kill the server, and report the results, right? And those are good candidates for running on AWS. Now, there's a few problems. So I actually went to a SIG node meeting last week to kind of discuss this, and there wasn't support from SIG node leadership. But yeah, Sims and Todd are working on the code to actually spin up the servers on AWS and get them to work. Another thing I'm working on is trying to decouplify the installation scripts that we use, right? So we can run this on anywhere, as long as they support something like Cloud Init. So it's a work in progress, but I'm hoping the SIG node will approve all these changes so we can actually get on with it.
Okay.
Yeah, one update there is also, I think we managed to land a couple of PRs in the last few days, Mohammed, right? So what we ended up doing was there is a test E2E node has a mode where you can SSH into something and run all the tests. So that piece, I think we were able to merge. And the other thing that we were able to merge was, making it pluggable, right? So so that the code for AWS doesn't need to live in Kubernetes itself. It can live in another repository, but still from there able to run the same test E2E node in a slightly different fashion. So that PR also got merged in. I think the three of us, Todd, me, Mohammed, will resync back again to see how much of that we can do and how we can use that for some of the node E2E stuff as well. So that's something that we're going to do as well.
Since this also has significant overlap, Mohammed and I have talked about this a bit, and I think the one of the tricky objections is around like what operating system is tested. I think we have a very straightforward path on that one to just focus on. We already test on Ubuntu images on GCE. I'm sure Ubuntu is available on AWS.
Yeah,
we can very closely match those.
Yeah, so we will definitely do that, and additionally, when the internal teams want to try the same thing, they'll end up using the same harness, and they'll use the EL 2023, which got GA today. So I think that is something that they will have to end up doing for themselves.
Yeah, I think once we can prove to SIG that we can run an extremely identical environment for testing node integration, we can expand from there. And I think we should be able to do the exact same thing where we take Ubuntu and then control the containerd version and present this same environment.
Right. And the reason for going down this path was, typically we talk about using kind for conformance test, right? But then node conformance is important too. So if we have a way to do node conformance, that is the reason why we went down this road.
And I believe we have a test job with kind working on the EKS cluster now.
Right. Tomorrow, Sham from AWS is going to go to, I mean, he's the chair for one of the chairs for the SIG scalability. So he's going to go with a couple of people there to figure out, how we could be doing scalability testing as well. So they'll come to us and ask for, resources, and we'll have to kind of like figure out how much cost and what they can run, and will it even work, and maybe they'll need a way to test those things. We might have to give them a space to work, to try things out. So they'll come to us when they're ready.
Okay. EP, I think you're next. And I'm sorry, can do I need to zoom more to see the graph, or is that okay?
Maybe Hippie, can you share the original Excel sheet? That might be better.
Probably easier for me to share my screen and also make it where everybody can kind of look on their own. I'm dropping a link into our chat, and I'm going to put it into our docs as well. And our notes, it is a Google sheet. Where's our notes? I lost my place. A couple of weeks, tracking the change. There's the link. And the pictures are there to make it so you don't have to look, but that, I think we need some way to talk about our spend as it changes over week by week. And I think the number that makes a lot of sense is the average cost per day. We've got two ways of calculating that. One is year to date, which obviously is going to change, a little more stable looking, and average cost to a specific week. The red line is going to change every week as we progress forward. This is the line we need to be under to make it to the end of the year. On the bottom left there's the Google Cloud. On the right is AWS. Note, these are not the same scale. That 800,000 on the left and the $80,000 on the right will eventually look similar, but today we just see the cumulative obviously going up and to the right, but you can see the rate of change getting quite hockey stick over there on AWS. And hopefully our cumulative year to date starting to curve a little slightly flatter. You can see our GCP willing cost on the left going down slightly, and obviously this week we didn't increase as much in AWS. If you go down a little bit onto that next line, I guess it's column 80 or row 81. This is our total spend target date based on our year-to-date average to try to getting down. Like we obviously aren't going to make it yet. We're just getting down to somewhere around 3.9. And the guy on the right there is, when does the money run out? And that's the red. We want the red to disappear. We're in week 10. A lot of times when you see numbers 1 to 10 or something like that, it's the week of the year. If you want to click on the actual Excel spreadsheet, or what's this called? Scroll up a little bit. Oh, yeah, we're in it. Never mind. I'll show you where the numbers come. Just scroll up in the sheet. At the top, the data that we're pulling it from is coming from billing data. So this is as accurate as we can get. If you go to the top left, so we show column 1 or rows 1, go all the way back to the left. These numbers won't make sense until we have billing data. So you can see we don't have week 11 data in there yet. We just have week 10, starting on the 10th of March. The GCP billing BQ weekly cost report seems to have the most accurate data. Please comment and tell me where we're wrong. We were looking at the GCP console cloud billing log. They're on 26, but those numbers, they just don't add up for what I'm seeing. So I'm trusting those light blue numbers on 9 through 20 more than I am on the other side. Sorry, incoming call. Separately is the AWS, and the blue link on 33, 26, and 9 gets where the data comes from. And the number I think we should be talking about is either line 13, which is average daily cost for this specific week. You can see it changing, going down quite dramatically, or the average cost year to date. That's going to be more slowly, but won't have the it's a little more trustworthy. It might be good to have something that goes over a slightly larger sample, maybe like 4 weeks. But I figured this might give us some concrete data to have conversations about for helping us reduce costs. That's me.
Thanks, AP. This looks really nice, and hopefully we'll be able to update this and keep this going, right?
Yeah, Rion's on that. So Rion, just a second, it keeps ringing. He's every week on our Monday. So before you wake up on most everybody else's Monday, this will be updated and kept up to speed. And so it'll give us a really quick, how did we do last week? How's it going?
Okay, that's perfect. I think Ben asked the question here. Ben, do you want to voice that? I have a similar question.
Justin has his hand raised, so I would like to give Justin first.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, this is really great. Just a question. So I see in our most recent projection, the day 0 is 12 for the 4th of December, and we spend on average $8,000 a week. So does that mean that we are only $30,000 short, like 4 weeks or whatever it is?
So, Rion, do you want to speak to that? That sounds about right. I think we were close. I'd have to look at it again.
Yes, the numbers is busy. It really started turning. So yes, it seems like we don't need all that much, and I'm really excited about what's going to happen next week on the 20th. I'm actually going to monitor it by the day next week. Just so we'll see probably another good drop on our Monday data, and then from the 20th onwards, I'll daily track it and update to see. And also, if you scroll down to the bars at the bottom, the blue and red bars, which that graph there is basically explaining. It's a 360-day count. So the red is basically the amount of days that will not have money in a visual display. So at the moment, yes, we seem to be in December. But as Hippie said, everybody's invited to have a look at the spreadsheet, comment if there's anything that you think that we've got wrong. Spreadsheets is not the best way to do big calculations, but I think we're pretty on it.
I had a different question, but now I have a more immediate comment. It looks like the projected spend through the end of the year is just based on multiplying the average daily spend for the week times the amount of days in a year. So to Justin's point, our actual realistic projection for the end of the year is going to be a bit higher, given that we were at worse spend earlier in the year. It's still really good to see, though, because it means that on a rolling basis, we've gotten much closer to where we should be at going forward, but it does mean 2023 is still in trouble. 2024 is looking better.
Actually, to speak to that, Ben, you're right, and I looked at the wrong number. There's two lines. If you look at line 15 and 16, 15 is considering if we use the amount of money that we had in this week, this is where we'll go. But unfortunately, we have to pay back the money that we burned too much of earlier in the year. So the year to date is actually the accurate number to look at. So if you look in row 15 at column K, it actually tells us we'll be running out on the 9th of, sorry, this is American dates. I use European dates in my head. Let me just check. The 9th of October.
I would suggest a tweak to that model as well. That appears to be based on the year-to-date daily average. I think if we want to get a pretty tight estimate, we can use the amount of money spent prior to the current week and then project the rest of the year based on the current week. Because we know the year-to-date up until that point is accurate, and we know the current spend. I think that will give us a little bit
oh yes, I see what you do.
But also the estimate above that is based on the current daily rate. That's really nice to see for knowing if we started a new year, where are we at? I think those are the two numbers that I'd want to see.
The straight number, thanks for that, Ben. It makes sense what you say. I will make a note to go retweak that. The straight number per day should be $8,200. And that will leave us at $3 million with a handful of change if we can get every month of every week at 8,200 next year, that is the number 4 that takes us to right underneath 3 million.
Yeah, that one makes complete sense. I think I would tweak the other number for
Yes.
a little bit closer where we're at. The original question I had though was that the Amazon spend is maybe at least to me a bit higher than I would have expected at this point. Do we know how much of that is coming from the registry stuff, given that we're about to send a whole lot more traffic there? Like it looks like we're spending almost like half now between these two. Am I reading this wrong? 45K versus 25, 26?
I mean, now Amazon is really low. Our year to date, cumulatively year to date, we have only spent, if you look at row 24K, we have $76,000 for the year, as opposed to 10 for the,
right,
for the whole year.
But the weekly rate at the current weekly rate.
Oh, that's a good point. Current weekly rate.
Am I seeing that right? That it's like more than half of the GCP weekly rate already?
I will have to that also. That doesn't sound right. Let me double check that. It just doesn't sound right.
I mean, if it is right, then I think we need to be double checking how much of that is like the S3 for the registry, and we might want to be preparing to do further cost optimizations before we send a whole lot more usage.
Very good point. Thanks, Ben. I will have a look at that and make sure that I'm accurate there. That's why I need more eyes on this.
Yeah, so we'll keep tweaking for sure. Ben, there was something that Rian said. So not everything will be switched on Monday, Rian, on the 20th. I think there's a phased rollout for the whole week. Justin, that's 5 days, right? Or is it 4 days? How are you doing it? How is the rollout?
We're still negotiating that.
Okay. So it might take the whole week, right? Like, so if we want a full week worth of data, it will have to be the week after the next week when we'll be able to get a full week's worth of, hey, here is our total load coming from other places. And, GCP, going back to GCP, the rest of the ones.
I believe we're aiming for 4 days still, but this is all of this is in very active discussion still with any remaining folks that have concerns and that sort of thing. There's some possibility that the exact rollout speed is fine-tuned or that sort of thing.
Okay. We just converge on our usual channel for any updates from you all.
Yeah, I expect. I mean, we don't have a lot of time left for any further conversation, right. So we'll know soon enough. I'm still expecting 4 days.
Okay. Thank you. So Rian, so next week we won't get the full data. The week after we are likely to have the full data.
Beautiful. Thanks for all the feedback, and everybody, please feel free to criticize my formulas and results. Let's get this accurate.
Woohoo! I really appreciate these. If someone could get back to the channel soon with I don't have access, whatever we think the Amazon numbers are definitely at, especially the S3 spend. I'm a little concerned and would like to check that.
We can check that quickly, but we're out of time, so I don't know.
Now, if you can do it live or not, it might be a good thing, so we can just tick that box.
Okay.
We could just post to the channel or something.
Yeah, okay. We have 1 minute left for the meeting, so thank you for everyone coming. And see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Bye-bye.